The unexpected encounter Olivia Reed tucked a strand of auburn hair behind her ear as she pushed her housekeeping cart down the plush hallway of the Meridian, one of Boston's most exclusive hotels. At 32, she had mastered the art of invisibility, moving efficiently through the spaces of the wealthy without drawing attention. Today was her third double shift this week, the extra hours essential if she hoped to cover her mother's mounting medical bills. The 12th floor was eerily quiet this Tuesday afternoon. Most guests were out at business meetings or exploring the city. Olivia checked her schedule. 3 more suites to clean before her supervisor's inspection. She was ahead of schedule, a small victory. As she turned the corner toward the presidential suite, a small sound stopped her. A sniffle, then a quiet sob. Olivia paused, listening. There it was again, the unmistakable sound of a child crying. She followed the sound to a recessed alcove near the emergency stairs. Huddled there was a small boy, no older than 6, with tear-streaked cheeks and tousled dark hair. He wore expensive clothes, tailored navy shorts, and a white button-down that probably cost more than Olivia's weekly salary. "Hello there," Olivia said softly, crouching down to his level. "Are you okay?" The boy looked up, his eyes wide with fear and relief. "I can't find my dad," he whispered. "I'm Olivia. What's your name?" "Noah," he replied, wiping his nose with his sleeve. "Well, Noah, we'll find your dad, I promise." Olivia smiled reassuringly. "Which room are you staying in? Do you remember?" Noah shook his head, his lower lip trembling. "It had a big door and a view of the boats." "That helps," Olivia said. "The Harbor View Suites. Are you staying on this floor?" Another head shake. "We went up in the elevator, then down some stairs because I wanted to see where they went." Olivia glanced at her watch. Her supervisor, Mrs. Donovan, would be checking her progress soon, and fraternizing with guests, especially without proper channels, was strictly against protocol. But this child needed help. "Tell you what," she said, reaching for her personal phone, another violation of hotel policy. "Let's call the front desk and let them know where you are." After making the call, protocol dictated she should return to work and let security handle the situation. Instead, Olivia sat beside Noah, distracting him with stories about the harbor seals she sometimes spotted on her morning commute. 20 minutes later, the elevator doors opened, and a tall man in an impeccably tailored suit burst out, his face a mask of panic that melted into relief when he spotted Noah. "Dad!" Noah launched himself into the man's arms. "Noah, thank God," the man breathed, clutching his son tightly. He looked at Olivia with piercing blue eyes. "You found him?" "He was just a little lost," Olivia explained, standing. "I'm glad you're back together." The man, who Olivia now recognized as Julian Blackwood, the notoriously private tech mogul whose face occasionally graced business magazines, nodded curtly. "Thank you," he said, his voice softened with genuine gratitude. "Just doing my job," Olivia replied, though it wasn't technically. As she walked away, she heard Noah say, "Dad, she told me about the seals in the harbor. Can we go see them?" Olivia smiled to herself, returning to her cart. The warmth of having helped faded quickly when she saw Mrs. Donovan waiting there, face tight with disapproval. "Ms. Reed," she said icily. "My office, now!" Olivia's stomach sank. She knew what was coming, and with her mother's latest round of treatment scheduled, the timing couldn't be worse. Still, as she followed Mrs. Donovan down the hallway, she couldn't bring herself to regret her choice. Some things were simply more important than rules. The aftermath. The words still echoed in Olivia's mind as she cleared out her locker. Violation of hotel policy, unauthorized interaction with a guest, use of personal devices during work hours. Mrs. Donovan had been methodical in listing her transgressions, each one another nail in the coffin of Olivia's 5-year employment at the Meridian. "I understand why you helped the child," Mrs. Donovan had said, her voice softening momentarily. But rules exist for a reason, Ms. Reed. What if something had happened to that boy while in your care? The hotel would be liable. Now clutching a small box containing her few personal items, Olivia walked through the employee exit for the last time. The bitter November wind cut through her thin jacket, a physical manifestation of the chill that had settled in her chest. Without this job, her mother's medical bills would quickly become overwhelming. Patricia Reed's multiple sclerosis had worsened over the past year, requiring specialized treatments their insurance barely covered. "I'll find something else," Olivia whispered to herself, a mantra of forced optimism as she waited for the bus. Something better. But by the time she reached the small apartment she shared with her mother in Dorchester, her optimism had dwindled. She found Patricia sitting by the window, working on her needlepoint, one of the few activities her trembling hands could still manage. "You're home early," Patricia noted, looking up with a smile that faded when she saw Olivia's expression. "What happened, sweetheart?" Olivia considered lying, crafting some story about being sent home early, but her mother had always seen through her attempts at protection. "I lost my job, Mom." She explained the situation, watching her mother's face cycle through concern, pride, and then worry. "You did the right thing," Patricia said firmly. "That little boy needed someone and you were there." "The right thing doesn't pay our bills," Olivia replied, sinking onto the worn sofa. Patricia wheeled her chair closer, taking Olivia's hand. "Something will come along. It always does for good people." Olivia squeezed her mother's hand, wishing she shared her unwavering faith. Later that evening, after making dinner and helping her mother to bed, Olivia sat at their small kitchen table with her laptop, scrolling through job listings. Nothing matched her qualifications or offered the salary she needed. Desperation began to gnaw at her edges. The knock at their door was so unexpected that at first, Olivia thought she'd imagined it. It came again, more insistent. Frowning, she checked the peephole and gasped. Julian Blackwood stood in the dimly lit hallway of her apartment building, looking decidedly out of place in his expensive coat and polished shoes. Stunned, Olivia opened the door. "Mr. Blackwood, how did you find you?" he finished, his expression unreadable. "I have resources." He paused, seeming to realize how that sounded. "I hope you don't mind. Noah wouldn't stop talking about the nice lady with the seal stories. Then I learned you were terminated because of helping him." Olivia swallowed hard. "It's fine. Rules are rules, apparently. May I come in?" Just for a moment. Against her better judgment, Olivia stepped aside. Julian entered, his tall frame making their modest apartment seem even smaller. He took in the medical equipment in the corner, the prescription bottles on the counter, and the stack of bills Olivia had been sorting through. "Noah told me everything," Julian said, turning to face her. "How you stayed with him, calmed him down, made him laugh when he was terrified." His voice softened. "He gets anxious easily since his mother died." "I'm sorry for your loss," Olivia said sincerely. Julian acknowledged this with a slight nod. "I spoke with your former employer. They were inflexible. I offered to intervene, but I sense that might not be what you want." "I appreciate the thought," Olivia said, pride straightening her spine. "But I don't need charity or special treatment." "Not charity," Julian corrected, a hint of respect flickering in his eyes. "A job offer, actually. Noah's current nanny is efficient, but lacks warmth. He needs someone who sees him, not just the son of Julian Blackwood." He hesitated. "He needs someone like you." Olivia blinked, certain she had misunderstood. "You want me to be Noah's nanny?" "More of a personal assistant and caregiver," Julian clarified. "The compensation would be substantial, including full medical benefits that would cover dependents." His eyes briefly flickered toward the prescription bottles. Olivia's mind raced. The offer was both absurd and potentially life-changing. "Mr. Blackwood, you don't know anything about me. I know you put a frightened child's needs above your own job security. That tells me everything essential." He handed her a business card. "Think about it. Call me tomorrow with your decision." After he left, Olivia stood motionless in the center of her living room, the elegant card heavy in her hand. From her bedroom, she heard her mother cough, a reminder of everything at stake. By morning, her decision was made. New beginnings, the Blackwood estate in Brookline was more museum than home, all soaring ceilings, immaculate furniture, and artwork that probably cost more than Olivia would earn in several lifetimes. 2 weeks after accepting Julian's offer, she still felt like an intruder in this pristine world. The East Wing contains Mr. Blackwood's offices and is strictly off-limits, explained Mrs. Winters, the housekeeper whose perpetually pinched expression suggested she found Olivia's presence questionable at best. "Noah's schedule is posted in the kitchen. Mr. Blackwood expects it to be followed precisely." Olivia nodded, absorbing the stream of instructions while they walked through corridors that seemed to stretch endlessly. Her mother had been relocated to a private room at Boston's top rehabilitation center, her treatments now fully covered. Under Olivia's new benefits package, it was worth any amount of discomfort to see Patricia receiving proper care for the first time in years. Noah's previous caretakers didn't last, Mrs. Winters added, her tone implying Olivia wouldn't either. "Mr. Blackwood has exacting standards." "I'm sure we'll manage," Olivia replied, keeping her voice neutral, despite the flutter of anxiety in her stomach. When they reached Noah's quarters, a suite larger than Olivia's entire apartment, the boy was sitting on his bed, small legs dangling as he focused intently on a complex Lego structure. "Noah," Mrs. Winters said, "your new caregiver has arrived." Noah looked up, his solemn expression breaking into a wide smile when he recognized Olivia. "It's the seal lady," he exclaimed, jumping off the bed. Mrs. Winters raised an eyebrow, but said nothing before departing, leaving Olivia alone with the boy. "You remembered me," Olivia said, kneeling to his level. Noah nodded enthusiastically. "Dad said you're going to stay with us now. Are you going to tell me more stories?" "As many as you want," Olivia promised. "And maybe we can even go see those seals for real sometime." Noah's face lit up but then clouded. "Dad's always busy. He doesn't have time for trips." "Well, we'll have to see about that," Olivia said, glancing at the schedule on the tablet Mrs. Winters had handed her. Every hour of Noah's day was meticulously planned: tutoring, structured play, educational activities. No wonder the child seemed so contained, so careful with his emotions. Over the next few days, Olivia discovered the unspoken rules of the Blackwood household. Julian was rarely present, leaving early for his company headquarters and returning after Noah was asleep. When he was home, he seemed perpetually distracted, responding to Noah's eager questions with absent nods while checking his phone. One evening, after putting Noah to bed, Olivia found Julian in the kitchen, staring at his laptop with a glass of scotch at his elbow. "Mr. Blackwood," she began, gathering her courage, "I've been reviewing Noah's schedule, and I think there's something missing." Julian looked up, surprised by her presence or her boldness, perhaps both. "Missing?" "Fun," Olivia said simply. "Time to just be a child." Julian's expression hardened. "Noah has the best education money can buy. Every activity is designed to develop his potential." "And that's wonderful," Olivia said carefully. "But he also needs time to play freely, to explore, to make messes and mistakes, to build memories with his father." "I don't pay you to critique my parenting, Ms. Reed." "No," Olivia agreed, refusing to be intimidated. "You pay me to care for Noah, and that's what I'm doing." They stared at each other across the kitchen island, the tension palpable. Finally, Julian sighed, running a hand through his dark hair. Emily, Noah's mother, she was the one who knew how to play, he admitted quietly. Since she died, I've been trying to make sure Noah has everything he needs, but you're not sure what that is, Olivia finished gently. Julian nodded, a rare moment of vulnerability crossing his face. I know how to run a billion-dollar company. I have no idea how to raise a 6-year-old boy who wakes up crying for his mother. The admission hung in the air between them, raw and honest. Maybe, Olivia suggested, we could figure it out together. Julian looked at her for a long moment, then gave a slight nod. It wasn't enthusiastic agreement, but it was a start. As she walked back to her room in the quiet house, Olivia realized she had just crossed an invisible boundary. She had been hired to care for Noah, but it seemed the Blackwood men, both father and son, needed much more than she had anticipated. Breaking through. Higher! Higher! Noah shrieked with delight as Olivia pushed him on the swing at the park near the harbor. 3 months had passed since she joined the Blackwood household, and the transformation in Noah was remarkable. The solemn, careful child was emerging from his shell, revealing a spirited boy with an infectious laugh. Any higher and you'll take off like a rocket, Olivia called back, smiling as Noah pumped his legs, trying to go even higher. From a bench nearby, Julian watched them, his expression a mixture of wonder and hesitation. These Saturday outings had become a tentative tradition over the past few weeks, a small crack in his rigidly compartmentalized life that Olivia had gradually widened. "Dad, watch this," Noah called, jumping off the swing at its highest point and landing with a triumphant flourish. Julian started forward involuntarily, then relaxed when he saw Noah was fine. "Impressive," he called, the pride in his voice unmistakable. Later, as they walked along the harbor, Noah ran ahead to look for the seals Olivia had promised, leaving them walking side by side in companionable silence. "He's different," Julian observed quietly. "Happier." "Children are resilient," Olivia replied. "They just need the space to heal." Julian nodded, hands in his pockets as he watched his son. "You've been good for him." "For us," he added, almost reluctantly. The simple acknowledgement warmed Olivia more than it should have. Over the months, she had developed a growing awareness of Julian that extended beyond their professional relationship, noticing the rare, genuine smile that transformed his face, the gentleness in his hands when he tucked Noah in on the nights he made it home early, the intensity with which he listened when she spoke about his son. "I've enjoyed being here," Olivia said simply. It was true. Despite the initial awkwardness, the Blackwood estate had begun to feel like home in ways her apartment never had. Her mother was thriving under the specialized care Julian's benefits provided, even joining them for Sunday dinners when her health permitted. "Dad! Olivia! I found one!" Noah's excited voice interrupted her thoughts. They hurried to where he stood pointing at a harbor seal lounging on a flat rock near the water's edge. Julian lifted Noah onto his shoulders for a better view, the movement natural now where once it had been stiff and uncertain. Olivia watched them, father and son silhouetted against the setting sun, and felt an unexpected pang. She had become attached, not just to Noah, but to both Blackwood men. That evening, after Noah was asleep, Olivia found Julian in his study. The room was quintessentially him. Organized, elegant, with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves and a desk that probably cost more than a car. "I brought you some tea," she said, setting down a mug beside the stack of papers he was reviewing. Julian looked up surprised. "Thank you." He gestured to the chair across from him. "Join me?" Olivia hesitated, then sat. This, too, was new. These quiet conversations after Noah's bedtime that had begun as brief updates about his day and gradually evolved into something more personal. Noah asked me something today, Julian said, setting aside his work. He wanted to know if you would be staying with us forever. Olivia's heart skipped. What did you tell him? That I didn't know. Julian's gaze was direct, searching. Would you want to? Stay, I mean. I'm not sure what you're asking, Olivia said carefully. Julian ran a hand through his hair, a gesture she now recognized as a sign of uncertainty. Neither am I, exactly. He paused. When Emily died, I thought that part of my life was over. I focused on Noah, on work, things I could control. And then you arrived, disrupting every system I'd put in place. Olivia smiled slightly. Sorry about that. Don't be. Julian leaned forward. You made me realize what Noah and I were missing, what I was missing. The implication hung in the air between them. Olivia had been hired to care for Noah, but somewhere, along the way, she had begun to care for Julian as well, and perhaps he for her. Whatever this is, Julian continued, gesturing between them, I'd like to explore it. If you would. Olivia thought about the complex man before her. Brilliant, difficult, wounded, but learning to open his heart again. She thought about Noah, who had claimed a piece of her heart from that first day in the hotel hallway, and she thought about herself, the woman who had taken a chance on an improbable opportunity and found something she hadn't known she was looking for. Yes, she said simply. I would. Julian's smile, the real one that transformed his entire face, was answer enough. Full circle, are you absolutely certain about this? Patricia Reed asked, adjusting the simple pearl necklace at her daughter's throat. It's not too late to elope? Olivia laughed, meeting her mother's eyes in the mirror. After all the planning? Julian would have a breakdown if we didn't use those ridiculously expensive flower arrangements. Patricia smiled, her hands steadier than they had been in years thanks to the experimental treatment Julian had insisted on funding. He does like things to be perfect. He's learning to appreciate imperfection, Olivia corrected, thinking of how much Julian had changed in the 18 months since she'd entered his and Noah's lives. The rigid, work-obsessed man had gradually given way to someone who could build pillow forts in the living room and laugh when plans went awry. Someone who had learned that love was messier and more wonderful than any system he could design. Knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. Can I come in? Noah's voice called. Dad says I have to check if everyone's decent. Olivia exchanged an amused glance with her mother. We're decent, Noah. Come in. The door opened to reveal Noah, handsome in his junior groomsman suit, his dark hair carefully combed. At nearly 8 years old, he carried himself with a confidence that had been absent when Olivia first met him. Wow, he breathed, taking in Olivia's simple but elegant gown. You look like a princess. Thank you, kind sir, Olivia replied with a mock curtsy. Are you ready for your important job? Noah nodded solemnly. I've got the rings right here. He patted his pocket. And Dad's super nervous. His tie is crooked, and he keeps checking his watch. That sounds like your father, Olivia said fondly. Tell him I'll be right on time. After Noah bounded off, Patricia took Olivia's hands. I never imagined this for you, this life, this family, but seeing you so happy, her voice caught. Your father would have been so proud. Olivia hugged her mother gently, mindful of both her condition and their carefully arranged outfits. He would have loved Julian. Eventually, Patricia laughed. After thoroughly intimidating him, yes. The ceremony was held in the gardens of the Blackwood estate, transformed into an enchanted space with twinkling lights and fragrant flowers. As Olivia walked down the aisle on her uncle's arm, she caught sight of Julian waiting for her. His expression, vulnerable, joyful, disbelieving, made her heart swell. Noah stood beside his father, beaming with pride in his important role. When Olivia reached them, Noah was the first to speak. I told Dad you were the one. he whispered loudly enough for the front row to hear, prompting gentle laughter from the assembled guests. The vows they exchanged were simple but profound. Promises to support each other's dreams, to nurture the family they had built together, to remember that the most precious things in life couldn't be scheduled or controlled. 2 years ago, Julian said in his toast at the reception, his arm around Olivia's waist, I was a man who thought he had everything figured out. Then my son got lost in a hotel hallway, and instead I found everything that was missing. He raised his glass. To unexpected encounters that change everything. Later, as they danced under the stars, Olivia rested her head against Julian's chest. Happy? He murmured into her hair. Olivia thought about the winding path that had led her here. From the hard-working housekeeper struggling to support her mother to becoming part of a family that had healed her heart as much as she had healed theirs. Beyond happy, she replied honestly. Across the dance floor, Noah was spinning Patricia in her wheelchair, both of them laughing. Colleagues from Julian's company mingled with Olivia's friends from her old neighborhood. Two worlds, once separated, by circumstance and privilege now intertwined. You know, Julian said thoughtfully, I never thanked Mrs. Donovan. Olivia looked up at him quizzically. The hotel manager who fired me? Why would you thank her? Julian smiled, the special smile he reserved just for her. If she hadn't been so rigidly rule-bound, you might never have needed a new job. Noah and I might never have found you. Funny how things work out, Olivia agreed. The worst day of my life led to the best ones. As the music changed to a livelier tune, Noah bounded up to them. Come on! Everyone has to dance to this one. He grabbed both their hands, pulling them toward the center of the floor where other guests were gathering. Julian and Olivia exchanged a glance of perfect understanding before allowing themselves to be led forward by the child who had brought them together. Into the dance, into joy, into the beautifully imperfect life they now shared. Sometimes Olivia reflected as Julian twirled her beneath the stars. The greatest acts of kindness return to you in ways you could never imagine. And sometimes losing your way was the only path to finding where you truly belonged.